So we are discussing about what? We are discussing about the iterative statements. So we got to know what is for loop, and we have to see, we will be seeing few more problems on the for loop. So once you understand this for loop perfectly, then we are good to go for while loop and the do while loop, right? So I hope you remember the syntax: expression 1, expression 2, expression 3, and the statements. So today I am going to ask you a few questions. Try to answer it by looking at the code. You should be in a position to tell what could be the actual output, right? I'll be asking questions like whether the loop is finite, whether the loop is infinite. Okay, you should be able to recognize that just by looking at the for loops. Okay, so when I say that, so in iterative statements, especially for the loops, so the loops are again categorized into. Hello, am I audible? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir, audible.
Okay, the loops are categorized into two types. Okay, the one is what there are some loops are finite. Okay, I can call them as finite for loops, and some loops are infinite. Okay, infinite for loops. So the loops that are finite, the loops that are said to be finite. Okay, here it means what? The number of iterations are countable. The number of iterations are countable. The opposite thing, okay, the inverse of finite, okay, the opposite thing is, which is what? The number of iterations are uncountable, is called as what? Infinite for loop, right? So program, okay, you should recognize whether the loop is a for loop or whether the loop is an infinite for loop. Okay, I will give you the small piece of code. Okay, now you tell me, by looking at this code, can you tell me whether this is a finite for loop or an infinite for loop? Everyone answer.
Finite.
It's a finite for loop because when I execute this piece of code, definitely the output is completely countable. So which is defining that the loop is finite. So everything is going to come into the picture. Okay, the initialization, the the conditional check, as well as the increment statement, expression 1, expression 2, expression 3, all together are going to decide whether a loop is going to be a finite for loop or an infinite for loop. Okay, we'll ask Sudhir to rejoin. Okay, I'm not able to admit him. 1 minute, guys. Sudhir, disconnect and rejoin, Sudhir. I'm not able to admit. Disconnect and rejoin. Okay. So this is the finite for loop because the number of iterations are completely countable. So all these three expressions, expression 1, expression 2, and expression 3, they are going to define whether the for loop is a finite or infinite. Now the next question is going to be, I will give you another piece of code. Now you tell me whether that is going to be a finite or an infinite. Not able to admit it. Okay. Now you tell me, if I have a statement like this. Okay, now you tell me whether this loop is a finite or infinite for loop. This is an infinite for loop. Why it is an infinite? If you see the iterations, okay, the iterations are uncountable because you are starting the iteration from by saying that the I is going to be 0, right? And after that, okay, you are not doing the increment here, okay, you are doing the decrement here. So the value of I becomes from time to time like 0, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, and so on. Okay, so it keeps decreasing, okay, it keeps decreasing, and every time it is decreasing, every time there is a decrement, the conditional will be what? It is going to return true always. This is going to return true forever. Okay, so you can say that this is the infinite for loop, right? Infinite for loop. Okay, now another piece of code I will give. Now try to answer this to me. Let me write it here. Finite for loops. Okay, the number of iterations are countable. I plus plus. Okay, and example of infinite for loop. Infinite for loops. The number of iterations are what? Uncountable. Okay, this is infinite for loop. Now you tell me. Let's see who is going to answer this. Okay, so now what I am doing is, in place of the conditional check, okay, I am removing this conditional check, and I am placing a complex condition here, not a simple condition, a complex condition. When I say a complex condition, I want to check whether if I is greater than or equal to 0, the first condition, I am using double ampersand symbol here. Okay? When I say double ampersand symbol, it is like I is greater than, after this double ampersand symbol, I want to place another condition which is just like this. Okay, now can you tell me what would be the, whether it is a finite for loop or infinite for loop? First tell me that, answer that. Can anyone answer this? Okay, let me take, instead of I minus minus, let me take I plus plus only. Can someone answer this to me? First answer me whether this is a finite or infinite for loop. Infinite. What about others?
Infinite.
What about others?
Finite.
Finite, huh?
Finite.
Is there any justification to say it is a finite? Anyone?
Yes, I let's say true statement will be false for the second one.
Okay, super.
So we do the increment.
Yes. Correct. Okay, this is the finite for loop. Can you tell me what would be the answer in the console? Finite is correct. Can you tell me what would be the answer in the console if I execute this piece of code? Think and tell me.
0.
Correct, exactly. See, if I execute this piece of code, we are getting the answer as 0. Correct. Okay, we may be thinking that, okay, first of all, understand this conditional check. Okay, so this is a complex conditional check. Even after the evaluation of this particular condition, definitely the output is going to be either true or false. No matter, you can keep increasing the complexity, no issues, but at the end the resultant value should be either true or false. If I execute this code, first let us see the output. Java C space a dot compilation is successful. Java space a. We are getting 0 as output, right? Now let me. So when you are getting the output as a countable one, definitely it is going to be what? Finite for loop. Now why it is finite? What is happening behind the scenes? Okay, now let us look into this piece of code. Okay, and you have things like expression 1. Let me separate that, and you have expression 2. Let me separate that. If for the better observation, I'm separating these things, and you have what? You have system dot out dot println, something like this, right? So from the for loop, the execution starts from the expression 1. You are saying what? The value of I has been, the value 0 has been assigned to the variable I. First of all, 0 is assigned to the variable I. Okay, so you keep practicing like this. Okay, the second thing is what? From here the control will be transferred to expression 2. So initialization is done because of this declaration and initialization. This is what happened behind the scenes. Okay, in the memory the values are getting assigned. Okay, next thing is you are performing a complex conditional check here. Okay, the first conditional check is what? This is the conditional check, complex conditional check. I is lesser than or equal to 0 and I is greater than or equal to 0. Right? When you make this complex condition, what is the value of I? 0, right? You have 0 inside I. So first check that 0 is lesser than or equal to 0, first of all, and next check that 0 is greater than or equal to 0, right? So in this case, both the conditions are going to return what? This condition is going to return true, yes or no? This condition is going to return true, right? Followed by double ampersand, you get the true for this condition. Okay, the true and true. When you use the true followed by the logical operator, when you perform the logical operation on two Boolean values, okay, when both the values are true, the resultant value is going to be true itself, right? Resultant value is going to be true itself, isn't it? So when this is returning true, right, it is going to get inside the body of the for loop. I is going to what? I is going to get displayed on the console. What is the value of I? 0. So 0 will be displayed on the console. If you take this as a console, okay, you see 0 as the output. Okay, then after doing this, what would happen? Okay, this control will be transferred to the expression 3. In the expression 3, you are doing what? Incrementation, I plus plus. So 0 will be, it's going to become what? It's going to become 1, incremented. Okay, after the incrementation, it is going back to the expression 2, right? And again, you are doing the performing the complex conditional check. Okay, this time I is 1, 1 is lesser than or equal to 0, and double and again 1 is greater than or equal to 0. You trace this, if you get the Boolean values, this is going to give you what? This is going to give you true, isn't it? Okay, however, this statement is going to return what? False. Okay, the true and false, especially if you check the truth table, when you perform the logical and operation on true and false, you will get result as false. When you get result as false, okay, don't you think that it is going to get terminated, this for loop? I mean, this is going to get terminated from the for loop, so it is going to come outside of the for loop, right? That's why you get get to see the result as 0, and it is also a finite one. Everyone, are you getting this? Yes, no? Answer me. Are you able to follow, everyone? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Getting, okay. Now the next question. Okay, next question is, let me do something like this. Now think and tell me whether this is a finite for loop or an infinite for loop. First answer me whether this is a finite or infinite. Think and tell me. I have just
Infinite.
Yes, correct, infinite. What about others? Do you agree with Prasanna? Everyone? Others?
Infinite.
Infinite only, right? Because it keeps running. It is going to run forever. The value will be incremented forever. Why infinite? Now we are using the logical OR operator. When you use the logical operator, at least if one condition is getting satisfied among these two conditions, if at least one condition is found to be true, then the resultant, then the body of the for loop is going to get executed. But here, what is happening? This particular condition, okay, this particular condition is going to be true forever. Is going to be written true forever. Even though this condition is not satisfying, this condition is getting satisfied. So when this is going to be true forever, the output is going to be what? The for loop is going to get executed forever. Isn't it? I don't think my explanation is required. Infinite loop. In the first iteration, the value of I is going to be, it is going to return true or true. Okay, from the second iteration outward, it's going to return what? Going to return, right, true or false. Okay, this is going to happen forever. This true or false is going to be forever. This true and false is going to be forever. This is going to return true forever. This side is going to return false forever. So the combination of true and false along with the logical OR operator is going to be true only. Going to be true only. So that's why this loop is going to get executed forever. This is one of the case that we should understand. Let me put it here. Right, for loop with complex. Okay. Now next question. Now think and answer me. Okay. Try to think and answer. So now this time I want to do something like I want to perform a kind of Now to place something here, like let me remove this system dot out dot println, okay, before for loop, okay, after for loop. Let me remove all this. Okay, so let me describe about this code. Okay, you have a system dot print out dot println statement before the for loop, and there is the similar statement after the for loop. Okay, but the content is different. Okay, and you have a for loop. Now tell me, first of all, identify whether it is a finite. First identify me whether it is a finite or infinite for loop. Tell me that. First answer me that whether this for loop is a finite or infinite. Infinite, right? If I run this code, what would be the output? What you are going to think the output is going to be? What are your thoughts? What are your insights if I run this piece of code? If this is going to be an infinite for loop, right? Execution starts from the main method. The first instruction will be executed, right? And this for loop is going to run forever. That is what happens, right? Yes or no? Yes, no? What do you think the output is going to be? Can I say that the output is going to be before for loop and this one? What about this? Will this get executed or not? That's my question.
No, sir.
Okay, what happens in this scenario? Always pay some attention, especially this kind of scenarios. Okay, so this is running forever. Okay, let me execute this. Java C space a dot Java space. Okay, so I missed to capture that. Okay, what is happening? This code is going to, this for loop is going to get executed forever, but you are placing a statement here. Even though there is a statement here, do you think that this statement will get a chance to get executed when you place an infinite for loop just before this statement, right? So even though compiler is not going to throw any exception, okay, the question could be like, okay, you will get a piece of question like this. The question could be like whether there will be any issues with the compilation. Do we get any compilation error, right? For the compilation error, the answer is what? No, there will be no compilation error. Second question is whether this is a finite for loop or infinite for loop. Okay, what about the loop? The question about the loop, you would say what? It is an infinite for loop. Okay, and the third question is whether the last instruction will get executed or not. System dot out dot println, whether the statement gets said will get a chance to get executed or not. It will not get a chance to get executed. Okay, it will not get a chance because you have a for loop which is infinite. You have a for loop which is infinite, which is going to run forever. If it is running forever infinite number of times, definitely, right, it is going to run forever, isn't it? When it is running forever, okay, infinite number of times, definitely this instruction will not get any chance, right? So this instruction is, I can say that this is a not reachable instruction. Can I say that? I can say that this instruction is what? Not reachable instruction. Sometimes what happens while developing a real-time application, what you would usually do, you encounter this kind of situations, isn't it? Right? You should be careful enough to design your for loop in such a way that what are the things that you should keep in mind. You should ensure that that is not going to be what? That is not going to be an infinite for loop. Right? The moment if you make it infinite knowingly or unknowingly, if there are any statements after this infinite for loop, those statements will not get chance to execute it. This statement for now it is very simple, very system.out.println statement is very simple now. In the future there could be some other complex codes here. Those complex codes will not get any chance to get executed because just because of the infinite for loop. Are you able to understand? Yes, no? Maybe everyone? Are you understanding the purpose? Yes, no? Answer? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir.
Yeah. Okay, now next one. Now this observation, okay. Now next thing. Okay. I'm giving you all the possibilities, right? I'm just giving you all the possible scenarios. Okay, the questions that you would see. Next possible scenario is, now you see this code and tell me, just try to guess the output here. Your duty is to just guess the output. So when I do something like, okay, I am assigning a value integer I equal to 0, right? And also I am assigning a value j equal to 0. Okay. Now so look at the expression one. I am taking two variable names, I as well as j, and each and every variable is initialized with a value 0. This is also possible. This expression one is not designed to keep only one statement, or it is not designed to initialize only one variable. Okay, you can initialize any number of variables. In our example, I am taking I and j. Okay, after this, what I am doing? I am taking the I want to do a comparison, like I is lesser than or equal to 5 and double ampersand symbol. Okay, j is lesser than or equal to 5. Okay, let me remove this also. If I ask you a conditional check, okay, we have a complex conditional check, but this conditional check is accepting two variables, variable I and variable j. So the conditional check is happening, the complex conditional check is happening for the individual variable a as well as for the variable, I mean j, as well as for the I and j. Right now in the expression 3, I am doing what? I plus plus and comma j plus plus I am doing. Okay, now think logically and answer me, what would be the answer if I try to print I plus j? Think logically and answer me. Whether it is possible or not, yes, it is completely possible. I guarantee that it is possible.
Is possible. 0,
Okay,
2,
okay,
4,
yeah,
6,
correct,
8,
correct,
10.
correct, perfect. Okay, now let me run this code. Java C space a dot Java, okay, Java space 02468, correct. Okay, it is not about we are able to guess the output. It is all about understanding that this expression one is able to hold not only one variable, you can initialize any number of variables. That is the takeaway here, right? You have initialized two variables, I and j. Likewise, here also you can place complex conditional checks. Not only, this is not designed only for checking a single condition. It is designed to check a complex condition. At the same time, the expression 3 is designed to do what? It is designed to do the update or the increment or the decrement, okay, for any number of variables. Making sense? Okay, having said this, okay, let me include this. Variables in expression 1, expression 2, expression 3. Okay, now one more thing, the question could be like this. It is valid integer I comma, if you want to perform a declaration, I can declare I comma j comma k comma l, sorry, I comma j comma k comma l. Okay, this is as valid as this integer I, okay, integer j, okay, integer k, okay, integer l. Okay, I can do this, either I can do this, I can do this, both are valid. If you want to, if let us say that if all my variables are of same data type, so here I, j, k, l is of same data type, which is what? Integer. Okay, instead of wasting four lines of code, I can do the same thing like this. If I find that all the variables are of same data type, I can declare that data type only once, okay, followed by the respective variables, right? So same thing I'm doing here. Same thing I'm doing. So when I do the same thing, if I do this, okay, the moment I start initializing the variable j by placing the data type here, now this becomes invalid. See, it becomes invalid, right? So the compiler will understand. It will ensure, I mean, it will check for the declaration. Okay, declaring the data type. You have to declare the data type only once, right? And if you want to place the second variable, if you want to use the second variable, one declaration is fine. You are not supposed to do the declaration for the second time, declaring the data type. I'm talking about data type. Since both are of same data type, you can declare it only once. This is one observation you have to make. Are you getting this? Yes, no? Answer, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so declaration should happen only once. Declaration should happen. Declaration means data type. I'm saying about, okay, data type. Declaring the data type should happen for one type. One type. If the remaining variables of same data let me include this. Declaring data type in the expression. Okay. Now next example, think and answer me, right? So now I want to perform a different kind of action. Okay. So I want to remove this, guys. I want to remove this. Focus here. Let me make the code simple. Okay. I equal to 0. I is lesser than or equal to 5, right? And I want to keep the expression 3 as empty. Expression 3, I am not placing any value. If I am not placing value, now can you tell me what kind of loop is going to be this one? Is it finite or infinite? Yesterday we have, okay, I want to remove this J.
Finite.
Think and tell me again. Finite or infinite? I'm not keeping expression 3. Expression 3 is should be there to do what? Expression 3 is mandatory to perform the update. Right? I'm not using the expression 3. It can be optional. It is okay that you can.
It's infinite, but the output will be only 0.
Correct. This infinite. Correct. Infinite loop. Okay. Infinite. The output is going to be what? Output is going to be 0. Yes or no? Java C space a.java. Output is the 0 is going to be printed forever. So we have discussed these things already. Now I am doing a little change here. I'm doing what? I'm doing a little change. Okay. So I want to perform the increment here. Now answer me, what will be the output? Anyone? Think and answer me. Okay, you have the expression 1, you have the expression 2, and you don't have the expression 3. Okay, that's okay. So instead of using the expression 3 here, I want to use it here. What would be the answer? Is it valid or invalid? First of all, tell me. What do you think? Valid or invalid?
Valid.
It is valid. Okay, the compiler will not throw any error. Okay, I want you to answer whether what is the output that we are going to get when I do the increment operation inside the body of the for loop.
0 to 5. It will print 0 to 5.
It will print 0 to 5. Huh? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's see.
0, 0, 0, 0.
0. It is printing from 1 to 6. Okay, this is the reason I have asked you this question. Okay, because you should understand the control flow. See, it is like it is not like without pen and paper we can answer this directly. All you need to do is you need to solve this with a pen and paper. See what will happen. Now see guys, these are the instructions inside the body of the for loop. The execution will be starting from the expression 1, right? And the value of I is assigned to what? The value of the value 0 is assigned to the variable I. So far no doubts with the expression 1, it is going to get executed only once. When it comes to the expression 2, the straightforward answer is it is going to do the conditional check. Okay, typically 0 is getting compared to what? 0 is getting compared to 5, which is going to return true. So the moment it returns true, definitely it's going to act as a gateway, right? So true means it will the main thread gets permission to get inside the body of the for loop. The very first instruction is I++. The very first instruction is what? I++ is the very first instruction. Okay, you are performing the increment on which variable? I variable, right? So what is the value of I? You are saying what? 0 plus plus. Okay, 0 will be incremented, right? Now the latest value, because you're doing plus plus, in the memory 0 becomes 1. Yes or no? Right? After the increment, you know this main thread is encountering what? Main thread is encountering system.out.println statement. Yes or no? So what is the latest value of I1 here? So do you think that 0 will be printed? 0, there is no 0. The 0 is going to get modified before having it printed. 0 is getting modified because you have placed the plus plus just before accessing the variable I. Okay, after the incrementation you are accessing. So that's why it is starting from printing from 1. Okay, after executing this body of the for loop, then again the control will go to this expression 3, but the expression 3 is what? Empty. No worries, it's accepted. You can keep it blank. Okay, from expression 3 it goes to expression 2. Okay, and now I is getting compared to what? I is getting compared to 5 again. 1 is getting compared to 5. Okay, 1 is getting compared to 5, right? So after this comparison, it is going to get inside the for loop. Now next condition is what? Next is going to be again I plus plus, right? You are doing what? 1 plus plus here, right? So this 1 will be incremented to 2 in the memory, right? And after that you are accessing it. After the increment you are accessing. Likewise, 2 will be printed, 3 will be printed, 4 will be printed, 5 will be printed, right? And 6 will also be printed. Why 6 will be printed? Okay, after the incrementation, okay, after incrementing the value, okay, here you get 5 plus plus, okay, here latest value will get 5 plus plus, right? After incrementing the value, the 5 is going to get incremented to 6. Okay, then you are printing the system, then you are accessing the variable I. After accessing the variable I, the control is getting transferred to the expression 3, which is empty. Now the condition is failing after that. Condition is failing after accessing the variable. So that's why the output is from 1 to 6. Getting everyone? Okay, I will give you the another example to understand this better. Now tell me what would be the answer if I just move this I plus plus over here. You think and answer me. Previously this I plus plus was placed just before the system.out.println statement. Now it is placed here. Now what would be the answer? First answer me whether it's a finite or infinite first of all. Finite. What would be the answer?
0 to 5.
Now 0 to 5, good. Now 0 to 5 will be printed. Because after accessing the variable, okay, after accessing the I variable, okay, you are doing the increment. This piece of code is just like, okay, this piece of code is just, it is same like keeping this code here. Okay, this both codes are just similar to each other. The only thing is you are incrementing, you are placing the increment statement in the body of the for loop after accessing it. Here you are placing it in the expression 3. Right? The only difference will come when you place it, when you perform the increment before accessing it. Making sense, everyone? Yes, no? Are you getting this? Answer, sir? No answer, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, okay. Now you answer me. This is from me. Now I am saying for. Let me give you this. Okay, for integer I equal to 0. Okay, I am keeping the expression 2 as blank. Okay, don't think that Sarah taught this yesterday. Okay, even though I have we have learned these things yesterday, but we are trying to understand this in a different way. Okay, you might not be expecting the answers which we have discussed yesterday. System.out.println for loop, okay, system.out.println after loop, okay, system.out.println right. Now tell me, first of all, tell me, okay, forget about the code. First of all, tell me whether it is valid or invalid. First tell me that.
Valid.
Okay, you think valid. Okay, first next tell me whether it is a finite for whether this for loop is a finite or infinite.
Infinite.
Finite or infinite?
Finite.
Why finite?
Finite.
Why finite? Because
There is no relationship with the I.
correct, but yesterday I told when you are not using any conditional check, right? When you keep the expression to as blank, by default the compiler will consider it as true. When the compiler is considered assuming this as true, this is going to be an infinite loop forever. Okay, so let me run this code. Let us see the output. From the output, I will give you the explanation.
Double quote I'm using, sir.
Okay, so where here? Okay, good. Java C space a dot Java. Okay, now see the output. This is a valid output. Okay, you are getting the compilation error. So, do you remember previously we did not get any compilation error? Now we are getting compilation error. I will tell you why we are getting compilation error. What it says, unreachable statement. This statement is unreachable. It is saying this statement is unreachable. Why we did not get this kind of error in the previous example? Why we did not get? The only difference is you need to understand about the constant expression and the variable expression. If you remember it or not, when you place an expression here, when this expression is a constant one, when I say constant, either it can be direct to true value, or I can say it as a constant expression. Assigning the values directly, assigning the constants directly, whether it can be false value. It's a constant expression, right? So for all the constant expression, what is a variable expression? When I say I is lesser than or equal to 5, now you are taking help of another variable to evaluate the condition, right? To evaluate this condition, you are taking help of what? You are taking help of another variable. So this is called as what? Variable expression. But when you are not taking any, when you are not using any variables and you just want to use the values directly, Boolean values directly, like true. So in this case, we are not using anything. By default, the compiler will consider the vacuum place or the void space as was true. By default, it is going to consider it as true. So whenever the compiler is checking, okay, whenever the constant expression is coming into the picture, without even performing the execution, the compiler will say, what it will say, hey guys, I can see this particular loop, particular for loop is the infinite for loop, and you have placed the system dot, you have placed an extra additional statement after the infinite for loop. I cannot compile this. Compiler recognition comes whenever there needs to be a check for constant expression. Are you getting it? So here execution is not at all happening. Execution is not at all happening. If I take this code, right, you are just giving this code to what? You are just giving this code to the compiler. Okay, execution is not even started. Compiler is checking for syntactical errors. Is checking for syntax errors. Okay, it will check each and everything. It will check each and every piece of code. Okay, it is identified. Okay, it was void here. This was void. Okay, we did not take the true statement here. Compiler is going to give the true here. By default, it is going to give true here. It is identified as a constant expression. When it is identified as a constant expression, the compiler will check whether this for loop is finite or infinite. First check. Okay, it has found that this for loop is what? It is an infinite loop. A kind of threat it is finding. A kind of threat here. It has identified that this is going to be executed forever. Infinite loop. After that, it is also identifying that the developer has placed a particular instruction after the infinite for loop. So the compiler will directly throw the error first. It will identify this error in an advance, it is going to throw. Right? So the moment
So if you take out that statement, it will run.
Which one? This one, now?
After loop.
After loop. If I take this statement, by my explanation, okay, I think it is supposed to run inside loop. Making sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, no? Because compiler is not finding this for loop as a threat, okay? Because there are no instructions here. So there are less possibilities that the developers may encounter any trouble. That's why it is getting executed. And again, it is valid also for if I place something like I is lesser than or equal, or I is greater than or equal to 0. Right? I is greater than. Now what kind of loop is this? Finite or infinite?
Finite.
Think and tell me. Infinite. I is greater than or equal to 0, isn't it? So I keeps incrementing like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes or no? There will be no.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So it is infinite now. Java C space A dot Java C space. See, now it is getting. Now you may ask me, sir, previously we are getting unreachable error. Now why this is getting executed? Because we are using the variable expression here. This conditional check is now variable. Getting? If it is a variable expression, compiler will be like, array yaar, it is variable expression, why I need to check these things? Because if compiler ever had to check this variable expression, it has to run all the iteration. It cannot do that. You can just see the things and it is going to say, okay, whether it is going to, whether the code is a troublesome code or not. That's the thing the compiler is going to do. That can happen only with the constant. But when it is a variable, it cannot say, when this is going to get terminated. It cannot have that control. Okay, that's why for the variable expression, you are not getting the error that we have just got before. Right? But still this code, this is an unreachable statement. Can I say? This is an unreachable statement still, but no compilation error will be there. Unreachable statement, but no compile time. Are you getting this? We are just understanding from the compiler perspective. Have you got this or not, everyone? Answer yes, no?
Yes, sir.
I know. Now next thing is,
Yes.
now let us, I think we need to discuss a few more things. Like, now let me give you this example also. Let me remove this. Instead of I is less than or equal to, let me say false here. Okay, not false. Now you tell me the answer. Not false. I'm taking integer I is greater than 0. Okay. After loop. Now tell me whether this is finite loop or infinite loop. First answer that to me. Anyone?
Infinite.
This is infinite loop. Correct. This is infinite loop. Right?
Yes, sir.
And we are going to, if I run this code, you will be getting what? You will be getting before loop, and you will be getting the inside loop is going to get printed forever. It's going to get printed forever. So the moment I change this, okay. Now tell me what is finite or infinite.
Finite.
Then why this is infinite?
I greater than 0 means 0.
0 is greater
One,
than 0.
two,
Increment
three.
the value.
No, yaar. Before loop, after loop. Why infinite? 0 is greater than 0. I mean 0, right? When you do, it is just like I is greater than 0 means 0 is greater than 0. It should be false, right? You're not using equal to, right? Yes, no? Hello?
Yes, sir.
It should be finite loop, right? When it is a finite loop, so what is happening? If I ask you how many times this expression 2 is getting executed, what would be your answer? How many times is expression
One
2?
time.
Only one time it is getting executed. How many times expression 3 is getting executed? 0 times.
One time.
It will not, no, 0 times. It will not get a chance only. The control gets terminated here only. Forgot basics, huh? So to understand next question, you should understand this. That's why I'm taking it inside. Okay, expression, it will be starting from here. Expression 1 will get executed. Expression 2 has to get executed, but the condition is found to be false itself. It is found to be false itself. Is there any chance for the expression body? Is there any chance that the control is going to get inside the for loop? No. As soon as it finds false, it is going to come out. There is no chance for expression body of the for loop. There is no chance for what? There is no chance for expression 3. Yes, no? Do you agree? Hello?
Yes.
So 0 times only, no? It is 0 times.
Yes.
Right? Now what I want to do here is, now I want to now you tell me what would be the answer. Same thing, I have just changed this.
Before loop, after loop.
What about others?
After loop.
Okay, now okay. Now what it is coming? Unreachable statement. Why we got unreachable statement now? Why the unreachable statement error was not there before? Can anyone tell me?
Constant variable.
Good. For constant expression, okay, even though you're using false, yes, we know that this is not going to get executed. We know that already. But what kind of expression is this? You are placing a constant here. When you place a constant, it's job of the compiler to check what? To check whether is there any statements, okay? Whether you keeping this or you're not keeping this, that is secondary. What it will think, this body of the for loop will never get a chance. Forget about this statement. Okay, it is like this, guys. It is just like this. It's going to check the body of the for loop is never going to get a chance to get executed for the false instruction. It's a direct constant, right? So that's why it is saying the unreachable statement here. Unreachable statement. It's not mentioning this particular line. It is just saying unreachable statement. What if I remove this? Okay. Still we have to get the same error. Unreachable statement. Means there are no statements here. So anyone with the eyes can say that, sir, there are no statements here. Why it is unreachable? It's not thinking about the instructions inside the body. Inside the body of the for loop. It's just thinking about the body of the for loop. You may have instructions or you may not have instructions. Since you have placed the false here, it is the constant expression. I would say that the error is what? Unreachable statement. Making sense, everyone? No matter if you place it or if you don't place it, when constant expressions are coming into the picture, this is the what? This is the behavior. Can I get yes from everyone? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, now the next question is, can take another example like now you have to think and tell me. Think logically and tell me. Let me remove all this. Okay, let me remove all this. Okay, let me keep the first statement so that we will understand that it is getting executed. Okay, now you tell me what will be the output. Whatever thought. Before loop. After that, tell me whether it's a finite or infinite. Okay, answer. Finite loop or infinite loop?
Infinitely.
This is infinite loop. Why no? Even though we are not placing any statements, this loop has to run forever. Yes or no? Because you are not giving any expression 2 here. This expression 2 is completely blank. When it is blank, the compiler will use the true condition as the default one. Right? When the expression 2 itself is true, this for loop will get executed forever. Right? Even though it is a constant expression, there are no unreachable statements. Yes or no? Do you have any unreachable statements? You don't have any unreachable statement. So this before loop will get printed, then the for loop will get executed forever. Sir, how can you see that this for loop is going to get executed forever? If I run this code, you see the cursor is blinking. Aren't you? Can you see? It means the execution is happening. We do not have any resource. We do not have any resource to see that the for loop is getting executed forever. But still the for loop is getting executed forever. Right? And you will understand that only if you place the statement. This placement is giving us the clear picture that okay, we are able to see the actual for loop that is getting executed forever. Okay, now you are able to see. So when you are not able to see, it doesn't mean that the execution is not happening forever. You will understand. Yes, no?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Perfect. No? Now next one. Next one, what can we take? Like we'll take a condition like this. For example, now you tell me it is valid or invalid.
Invalid.
What about others? Any idea?
Invalid.
Why invalid?
Invalid.
Anyone?
We have not been initialized the value of anything.
Okay, but
Meaning.
I have said already, right? This can be optional. This also optional. This also optional. I'm doing the same thing. I have removed all the expressions. I can make it optional. Okay. In the exercise class, I was telling you somewhere. Okay, everything is an optional. So, don't you see that cursor is blinking here? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Which means, don't you think that this, even we do not see that, we cannot see it, we are blind to see it, but still the execution is, loop is running forever. Why this running forever? Yesterday we have discussed this, right? Let me stop this, guys. Let me stop. Control C. Okay, why this is running forever?
You take the true value.
Correct. So first one before loop gets executed. No doubts about this. By default, the compiler will consider this as what? True value, because you have kept the expression to as a blank one. So true will be considered. Okay, the control will start executing from the expression one, but there is unfortunately no expression is there. It is empty. No issues. It will go here. It is found true. It will go into the body. So there is nothing inside the body, but still it has to go, because why? That is the rule. It is true, it has to go inside the body, and again it has to come back here, right? Like this. We don't see these things happening, but since it is an infinite loop, this cursor, this main thread will be stuck inside this infinite for loop forever. It has got stuck inside this particular infinite loop, but we are not able to recognize that actually, right? Yes, no? Now, right now, system dot root dot println I system dot out dot println hello how are you. Now tell me what would be the, what are your thoughts now? Tell me.
It will be infinite.
I mean, what would be the infinite statement? Anyone?
Hi, how are you?
Hi, hi, hello, how are you? Hi, hello, how are you? By this, can I conclude that what is getting executed first? I is getting executed. Second one is hello. Third one is how are you? But the next time this I will not get executed. Hello, how are you? Hello, how are you? Hello, how are you? If you see the output, you will see only hello, how are you? You will see only hello, how are you? Because I has got executed in the beginning of the expression itself. You cannot see that because it gets executed only one time, right? Expression one. Getting it executed only. So this is the ideal proof that the expression one is getting executed one time, right? And this is ideal proof that when you are not placing any expression to it, it's going to take us true, right? After this, control is coming to say the body of the for loop, and the expression 3 is getting printed. Can we have this conclusion? Yes, no? Right? Now next thing is, okay, whenever you have something like this, for example, remove this. Let me also remove this. System dot out dot println, okay, I let me execute this code. Or Now you see, whenever you have only one statement inside the body of the for loop. For example, if you have only one statement like this, only one statement is there inside the body of the for loop, right? Whenever you have only one instruction, this body is an optional. These curly braces are optional. You can remove that, because since you are dealing with only one instruction, it means you can remove these curly braces. Okay, even though if you keep it no issues, but if you remove this also, there will be no issues. They would ask you the interview question like whether this is a valid one or invalid one. What you would answer? You should say valid,
Valid.
because the instruction, when there is only one instruction, okay, it is an optional to place the curly braces, right? Now this is also interview question. Tell me, what is this, valid or invalid? What would be your answer? You should not get any confusion during the interview. That's why I'm asking you. Valid or invalid? Only one for loop.
Valid.
Valid only, no? Because all these things are optional things, right? But you don't develop a program like that. But syntactically, from the compiler's perspective, you should understand whether you get error or you don't get error. So that is the reason why I'm teaching you all these things. It's valid. Because cursor is blinking forever, it means the infinite for loop is getting executed forever. They would ask you whether this is a, if you say valid, they would ask you whether this is a finite or infinite. You would say infinite. Why infinite? They would ask you. You should say that the compiler will treat the expression 2 as the default Boolean value, which is true. Right? So the body of the for loop gets executed forever. Okay, these are the all possible combinations, guys. I don't think we have any other combinations, right? And if you do some practice, you will understand the, you will identify where you are making mistake and where you are strong at and where you are weak at, right? Tomorrow we will solve some real-time problems. Okay, some valid problems we'll solve from tomorrow. I don't think that this is a kind of things that is not required. Actually, these things are very important. Okay, when you know these things only, you can solve the problems on your own. Without knowing this, it is very difficult for us to understand the basic understanding of the for loop. If you don't understand that, you cannot solve the real-time problems. Any questions for me?